So this is the first look at the Sureshot and Spoilsport 2-pack, I guess you want to say. I was excited to get this out of the package. I tore into it when it arrived on my doorstep, and unfortunately I don't have the box anymore, which doesn't really matter anyway because we're actually looking at the figure, not the box. Although I do have to say that the boxes do have very nice artwork on them. Very exciting to see this group finally completed, because this was the last basic Targetmaster we needed for the Autobot and Decepticon Targetmasters. All the rest of the figures have come out, but this was the last one, and I don't know why Hasbro has been treating the Autobots like a red-headed stepchild. Maybe it's because it was easier for them to do the Jets, or the Jets sold better, so we got, you know, all the Decepticon Targetmasters completed by the end of the, what was it, Power of the Primes? But this guy right here, it took forever to come out. In fact, I believe it was supposed to come out earlier, but they canceled it, and then later on they decided to release it again. But here's the thing: the main figure himself, the Sureshot character, they did a lot of like corner cutting when it came to this figure, and I think it has to do with the fact that it comes with that Targetmaster partner. So during the Siege line, we did actually end up getting Battle Masters. So the Battle Masters were sold separately as a $5 package, and they released quite a few. So here's the Battle Master. Well, they called him Fire Blast or something, but we all know it was Firebolt. And this figure goes with the Hot Rod figure. But we already had these molds previously made, and for some strange reason they decided to go back to the piss poor quality of the 1980s and add these Targetmaster figures in with the package of the bigger bot, which means that there were sacrifices made to the bigger bot because they had to include this stupid piece of plastic that doesn't even have articulation. The Battle Masters have ball joints on their shoulders, have ball joints on their hips, so you can actually move their arms and legs. Now, they don't have knees or elbows, but this is leagues better than some piece of plastic that just folds over and takes it up the ass. Now, the really cool thing about the Battle Masters is you can actually remove the barrel from the back of their robot mode and plug it into their arms, because their arms actually come with these small ports that fit the gun that's on their back. As you can see there, the play function of these Battle Masters are so much better, leagues better. And this seemed to have been going in a very positive direction until they decided, well, first of all, there are only like maybe three or four different styles of Battle Masters. I think maybe it was just 3. The base mold, I believe there are only 2, one with a peg on the chest and one with a peg on the back of its body. So there are like 2 variations in actuality, but they just kind of like remolded the arms and legs on the other one to make a 3rd type of Targetmaster. But I don't know, like Hasbro just got totally lazy, which is fine. I mean, all they really needed to do was change the colors to give us the actual Battle Masters for these Targetmaster figures, and then just like put that plastic allowance back into the main figure so that we have wrist articulation, you know, or foldable hands so they're hidden in car mode. The Sureshot figure really suffers from the lack because of this included Targetmaster, and I think it would have been better off if we just didn't have that, and if they just continued selling those Battle Masters until completion. I mean, really, how hard would it have been to just come out with multicolored Battle Masters just to complete the set, you know? But instead, they had us running around like crazy people trying to locate these replacements for these Targetmasters, because I'm sorry, but these... See, it wouldn't have been too bad if the Targetmaster didn't cause the bigger figure to suffer, but unfortunately that's exactly what it did. Sureshot is extremely light. He's lacking, like I said, articulation. And he's got this stupid piece of plastic here next to him that just bends over, and that's it. It's done. I am still happy though. I don't mean to sound like I'm ragging on the guy, but I do appreciate having the final Autobot Targetmaster. I just wish that they didn't use their budget creating that little guy. I wish they would have kept it into the main figure and just had a Battle Master sold on the side, or just given us a pack, you know. It is what it is, and we find a way to work around it, and that's exactly what I ended up doing. So I made myself my very own Battle Master that matches up with Spoilsport here. So there's a comparison of the Spoilsport that comes with Sureshot. Because the Battle Masters have these ball joints, it's easy to pop their arms or limbs even their backpacks, since it's meant to come off as a weapon. It's easy to pop them all off and rearrange them to create these colors that match up with their Targetmaster partners. I'm liking this. This is going to be my display. I'm going to be removing the Spoilsport that came packaged with Sureshot because this thing is ugly. So let's take a look at the Targetmaster that comes included with the package. We have here our Spoilsport, and we have here the one that I created. There's differences in details anyway. The Battlemaster stands taller, has more articulation obviously, and it comes with a removable weapon to arm it up with. And the included Targetmaster Spoilsport, like I said before, it just bends over. So this figure here is just quite pathetic actually. I don't know why. I do not know why they provided us more articulation and better sculpting and detail in the Transformers if they're just going to go back to the 1980s and pull this trash out, you know? It's like, what are we doing here? We're going to get figures that no longer have articulation and just move at the elbow or move at the shoulder? Is that what we're reverting to? These kinds of poor quality articulated figures? Because that's stupid. This should have never happened. They should have always ended up giving us the proper colored Battlemasters when it came to these Targetmaster figures. They deserve it. Because these are some of the coolest play features that we had growing up. Having two figures that interacted with each other by purchasing one package. I mean, like, that was like the draw, right? Here's what it looks like from the back. And we won't be displaying our figures from the back anyway, right? So it doesn't really matter. But if I did have a figure to display from the back, I would prefer the Battlemaster figure. It does look cleaner. This is what we're looking at when we have the Targetmaster versus the Battlemaster. And I'm going to say that the Battlemaster is way better. Way, way better. And yes, it is large. And yes, it's going to look stupid on the front of Sureshot. But you know what? They both do. But this one, of course, is going to look even more so. And this is what I mean by it looking stupid. But regardless, the other gun does look kind of dumb on it too. Doesn't stand out as much. There is a 5mm port to stick the weapon onto, so it works out really, really well. We're going to go ahead and add the partners that he has from the Targetmaster line. So there's Point Blank and Peacemaker, Point Blank being the red vehicle and Peacemaker being the Targetmaster, or should I say Battlemaster, sitting on top of his windscreen. Now as you can see, I use the Battlemaster again, rather than using his included Targetmaster, because again it's the same kind of quality as the one that was included with Sureshot. I didn't like it. That thing is gone. So we'll just get rid of that guy because he's ugly. Now Crosshairs is an anomaly, you know? He came out during the Siege. Yeah? He uses the Siege Ironhide mold, and a lot of people have an issue with Crosshairs being this mold, but you know what? I'm alright with it. If this is the Crosshairs they gave us, then that's cool. If they did give us another Crosshairs down the line, well, maybe I would grab it, but this guy's actually kind of cool. He uses the colors a lot better than Ironhide did anyway. He did not come with the Battlemaster at all. He actually ended up coming with some kind of rocket launcher hammer weapon. And it's the same weapon that comes with Ironhide. And it also transforms, but it's not a Targetmaster. It's just Hasbro's way of like homaging the weapon after the Targetmaster because it's painted red and black. But it does transform. And it does become this weird hammer looking thing that he can hold either in the middle by the grip or at the base by the grip. I think it just looks stupid. Just as I did before, I have to locate myself some Battlemasters to create the look that I want, which I was able to successfully do. So there we have all three of our basic Targetmasters. We have on the left Crosshairs with Pinpointer, in the middle we have Sureshot and Spoilsport, and on the right we have Point Blank with Peacemaker. So that's what Sureshot looks like with his Targetmaster friends. Here's a shot of the Legacy figures with the Targetmasters. We've got Cup and Recoil on the left. In the back left, we have Blur and Haywire in the middle, as well as Hot Rod with Firebolt on the right. So they look really good together. Finally completed the Autobot Targetmasters, and they look fantastic. So let's go ahead and transform Sureshot and put him into robot mode so we can check that out. Now I do have to say that the colors on this guy pop. The orange, yellow, and red color schemes, that warm color set, it really adds more flavor to the Targetmaster groups, especially since there's a lot more cool colors like the blues and reds put together. So it's a welcome change to see these bright yellows and oranges like you can find on Hot Rod. So moving the figure around, posing the figure is, I don't want to say it's a chore, but you have these panels that are these spoilers that are on top of the back of his shoulder that are pegged in with these really shallow pegs. I'm not sure why they didn't just mold it into the plastic, or at the very least like glue the spoilers in, because they don't need to be moved. They don't need to be turned, or they don't get in the way of transformation at all. It's just when you're fiddling with the figure, they just come popping off. Even though it has a really tight peg, like it fits in really flush and it's pretty tight feeling, it still pops off because of those shallow pegs. The back of the figure, those wheels on the back obstruct the movement of his arms. So if you want his arms to move back in a more dynamic pose, you have to widen his wingspan. I'm not a fan of his feet. I have a feeling over time the feet will get weak and no longer be able to hold the weight of the figure, which I guess is a good thing that the figure does not weigh all that much, due to the fact that it had an included partner that took budget out of his plastic. But you can also see in the rear where the legs are mushroom pegged in. That's another part that's sorely lacking. So you have this mushroom joint that connects the upper torso to the hips, and you have these two mushroom pegs that connect his legs to his hips, and none of it is covered. Like typically there would be this panel that would be screwed in that would accommodate for covering up those kinds of gaps, and this doesn't include it. And I'm assuming it's because of the budget of putting it towards the little gunman. His legs the calf area is really neat because it actually, those big waffled areas are covered by those two larger wheels in the back, so that's actually pretty good. The Generation 1 figure, I do remember that the wheels in the back on top of the calves stuck out, kind of like the way that the wheels on the back are sticking out, and then the ones that were on the top but the torso folded in like the ones that are on the legs. So they kind of did this switch when it came to the way this figure was going to be made from the original G1 figure. Yeah, they've got the folded in calf wheels and then the jutting out upper torso wheels. Again, being a Targetmaster and having no wrist rotation or articulation at all, you can't even hide those fists into those big hollow cavities that are the forearms. It's, I don't know. You can really see where they cut the corners on this figure with how light it is. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to offset the lack of articulation and the lack of quality, the lack of weight, by making a damn good sculpt. You have this beautiful head sculpt that looks like the cartoon, and it stands out really well. It has a ball joint and it can look all over the place, which is fantastic. And you have all this detail work on top of the legs, which is the engine block area, and it looks great. It's just, you can't really see anything because it's all the same color. It's all red. I mean, it would have been nice if they picked out some of the details using some kind of paint, because as far as I can tell, the only paint that I see are on the hubcaps for the wheels. Yeah, it looks like the forearms are orange, painted yellow. And the face. The face and eyes. Oh, and the windshield, sorry, the windshield. I don't even know if it has oh yeah, it has an Autobot symbol on its chest. But that's it. That's the majority of the paint right there, and they could have picked out some of those details on the legs by adding some kind of color, even if it was just orange or yellow, just to splash it here and there. Other than that, it looks like she's just wearing these red trousers, and it's kind of lame. Because even the yellow paint that they used on the hubcaps, it's like they only use one coat, so you can still see the black bleeding through. Am I happy with the figure? It's a meh. But having the entire Targetmaster crew is also, even though this is so, the quality is so poor, I'd say that I'm happy to have it. I'm more happy than upset about this figure, to say the least. Yeah, let's check him out standing next to his Targetmaster friend, shall we? So it appears as though the Sureshot is actually the shortest of the three, and surprisingly, point blank seems to be standing the tallest out of the three. And they look really good together. They all carry that cartoon or animation sculpted heads. I'm not sure if they're ever going to release toy accurate heads, but if you ask me, these look pretty good. And it's kind of strange because when you look at Pinpointer, he has this silver face that we're most accustomed to, and it's only just been recently, since they've been doing the studio series, that they've been releasing faces that are more like gray instead of silver, and white, that kind of flat color to kind of make it look more cartoon accurate. So even though Sureshot is not a studio series figure, he has a more cartoon accurate face due to the flat paint. Why they didn't go with the silver is I'm not sure. But when you look at Crosshairs here, he also has that black face, red visor like he did in the cartoon. So I don't know, a little harder to tell with him because he doesn't have that lighter face. Now if they had made his face silver, then it's like, I don't know what kind of, if they're doing this switch, but I mean, like, even his windows, his windscreen is not translucent, unlike Crosshairs and Pinpointer. Both of them have translucent windscreens on their chests, so it's kind of weird. They look too good together, but yet there's, you know, still these things that are off. Now, when I look at the Crosshairs and the Pinpointer, it's nice to see that that color, that paint, travels down to the shin and calf area. That's really nice, which is why I was saying earlier that it would have been nice to have some details like painted out on top of the shins of Sureshot. It would have really made him pop more. But other than that, he's kind of really basic looking. He's very basic when it comes to articulation. Like not even like a good basic. Like, I know people would get upset with Pinpointer having very shallow bicep bends, but I mean, to me that's not a big deal because he has shoulder rotation, so you can actually bring his arm up higher if necessary by rotating the shoulder. It's not a big deal. Because it took so long to get here, like there were issues, many issues with these characters, you know? You have one character who was released in Siege, so you have just a repaint of an existing figure, Ironhide. And then you have the next character come out in, Legacy? And, you know, he has his own style too, but he comes with a Targetmaster, that mini Targetmaster, which again, I'm sure reduces the amount of plastic that goes into the main figure due to the fact that it has to include this tiny little crappy piece of plastic that no one's gonna, well, I mean, I know there's people out there who love it, and there's gonna be G1 fans that look at it and have nostalgia due to the fact that it operates like the originals. But look, we're not collecting the originals. We are trying to like buy improved sets here. So this is the last time I'm going to be ever seeing these two Targetmasters that were included with Sureshot and Point Blank. Those I'm gonna toss them because they're such a waste. Such a waste of plastic, such a waste of engineering for the bigger figure. You know, they suck. They're so bad. Unfortunately, the act of having these figures in with the package causes the main figures to just dip in quality. So I don't know why Hasbro just didn't release these mainstream Battle Masters so that they could just focus on the main character. Meanwhile, everybody else just during the time should have just gobbled up all these Battle Masters while they had the chance. And that way they would be able to arm their Targetmasters, knowing full well in the future that they would be releasing these full-size figures. So it's really odd to me. It just really is odd to me. I guess what I'll do is I will transform the Battle Masters into their robot forms, and I will bring out the Legacy Targetmasters to join this little shot, and then yeah, that'll be the end of this video. Yeah, so here's all three of our Targetmasters side by side, all in bot mode with their Battle Master partners. These are not the ones that came packaged in with Sureshot or Pinpointer. Yeah, I think they look really great together. I'm very excited. I wish that Hasbro had released these Battle Masters more readily available for everyone to, or at least re-release them so people can get a hold of them now, since we have all the Target Masters available. But instead they decided to dip into the budget of the main figure and cause them to just dip in quality. So poor choice, I believe, on Hasbro's part. But basically, this is what it looks like when you have all of your figures side by side. I'm going to go ahead and add the Legacy Target Masters to the mix so we can see what all of the Autobot Target Masters look like together. Hopefully I have enough space on my table here. So here we have all the Target Masters with their Battle Master partners lined up. Starting from the left, we have Crosshairs with Pinpointer. We have Sureshot and Spoilsport, Point Blank and Peacemaker. We have Cup and Recoil, Hot Rod and Firebolt, as well as Blur and Haywire. Yeah, these figures look fantastic side by side. This is going to go right into my album. I love this shot. Having all of them together, standing side by side, looks great. Because of the distance that it took for them to release these figures, you know, you have like all these different styles of characters, you know. The Hot Rod and Cup there are Titan Returns figures. They have Headmasters. Headmasters are a really cool gimmick. Unfortunately, Titan Returns line, they decided to make everybody that they released in that line a Headmaster. So it was kind of confusing. They made the heads, they called the heads their Target Master partners for some strange reason. And again, these really odd guns that can go together like sleds or turrets and stuff, and the Headmasters can sit inside, and it was just a whole mess, you know. The blurs from the Speedia 500 or whatever that's called. Yeah, I just wanted to use those figures as my Target Master Legacy figures because they different than the Studio Series versions, which I'm using for their standard releases, just with their regular weapons and standard look. So these particular looks are made just for the Target Master versions of themselves, and they work really well. They work really well. I like the way they look in vehicle mode. I like the way they look in robot mode with their partners standing beside them. All of them can hold them too and arm themselves up, so that's really neat. I'm excited. This is good stuff. I'm happy to have Sureshot in the collection. Could he be better? Yeah, definitely. I really wish they hadn't included those, like I said before, those plastics. I don't know, I'm kind of ranting already, but I mean, that's the whole point of these first looks, right? It's not a review, it's my thoughts on the figure and how it works with my collection. So yeah, pretty awesome. Hope you found something here that you enjoyed, and we'll talk later when I get another first look.